Hey everyone, welcome to this edition of Just Parlays. I'm Jim Williams, along with my partner in crime, the one, the only, the money maker himself, Chris King. Chris, another good night last night, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, we had some things pan out. I was disappointed with the way Rutgers played. I thought they would have put up a better fight against Michigan, especially with all the issues they had. And the other thing, what was up with Wisconsin just playing around with Minnesota? They should have blown the Gophers right out of the building.
Well, let's talk just for a second about your point about Rutgers, right? We did say that Fran Fraschilla might just.
Phil Martelli.
Phil Martelli, I'm sorry. Fran Fraschilla would do a great job of analyzing the game for ESPN. Phil Martelli, we said, this might be a night when Phil Martelli decides to get back into coaching. And,
Turned out you were right.
It turns out that these types of situations take hold at times, and
especially in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, Ann Arbor seems to be the place where that works. It's a Michigan thing, as they say, from that standpoint. A couple of quick things that I can definitely bring people up to speed on. There's a number of headlines out there about Troy Aikman going to ESPN. I can confirm that ESPN will sign Troy Aikman sometime within the next 48 hours. Okay.
Good. You know what that means? It means I don't have to listen to him every week because I get tired of listening to him and Joe Suck all the time.
Well, you'll get to hear your boy Kevin Harlan on Monday Night Football. You can listen to the radio, and Kevin will be there. But Troy will be leaving Fox to take the job. As far as the situation with Al Michaels, and that's the deal. At the moment, I can also confirm that Amazon is in talks with NBC. What the goal would be is to keep the consistency of allowing NBC's production group, which is our good friends Fred Girdelli and Drew Esikoff, two of my former partners in crime at ESPN, who are now with NBC and been there. They've done Sunday Night Football since Sunday Night Football's been on NBC. And Chris Collinsworth to stay together for Thursday night. Then Tirico would join Chris on the Sunday night show. That's, if that happens, that's how that'll roll out. One way or another, Al Michaels will be with Amazon. Who his partner will be, could be Chris, could be, stay tuned. As far as Fox replacing, Troy, there's a couple schools of thought they're not in a rush at this point. There's no need to be in a rush. They're talking to Sean Payton. They're talking to Sean McVay. I honestly believe the Sean McVay thing is if they offer him a dollar figure, he'll take that dollar figure, run to Stan Kroenke and say, if you pay me X, whatever the heck, I might be worth to the network, then I will come back and coach. If you don't, then, I think I'm going to leave. Because I think that he feels, and rightfully so, that he's underpaid. So there's those two things. Finally, with baseball, it is, and it pains me to say this because I'm a baseball fan, but if there's a way for baseball to screw something up, they will. And
at least they're consistent.
They're consistent. Monday has been laid out as if they don't have a deal done by Monday, opening day won't be opening day. And also, they're not going to attempt to make these games up. And that means less paychecks, for the players. Theory of the case there being, urgency, right? Try to get a deal done so that you don't miss a check. There doesn't seem to be that urgency on the player standpoint. So my guess is we're probably going to have a season that is closer to 150 games than it is to 160 games. So there's that. So that's what I can tell you today. And we got some good basketball and some fun stuff coming. Now, just so you know, because we like our friends at BetMGM, we want you to know, because the association's back tonight, and we'll be talking about them. So let's take advantage of them being back, because here's what you need to do. Take advantage of our MGM promotion, first-time users. Use that BetMGM app, deposit and place a bet of $10 on any NBA game and get $200 if either team hits a three-pointer. Okay? So there you go. That's a great deal. As we said before, be sure to take advantage of our MGM NBA promotion, first-time users of the BetMGM app. Deposit and place a bet of $10 on any NBA game, and you will get $200 if, and there's a pretty good chance of this happening, either team hits a three-pointer. Now, remember, of course, as we always say, that it's always important to bet responsibly, and obviously you must be over 21 to play. Okay? All right, cool. So thank you very much, and on with the show we go, and we're heading.
One more thing, Jim, since we're talking about breaking news. Art Briles, the former Baylor coach, is back in college football. Hugh Jackson at Grambling hired him as his offensive coordinator today.
That's interesting. Art Briles is a genius, and he might be a little. There's Baylor problem. There was Baylor problems there, no question about that. But Art Briles is Art Briles is one of those guys that Hugh Jackson did a smart thing by taking a flyer on him, because I think that's going to pan out for both of them. And if you look at what's going on with the HBCs. I mean, you've got Dion, you've got Hugh Jackson. I mean, you're getting some pretty darn good coaches in the. Not that there weren't already, but you're getting some pretty darn good coaches back in the HBC. So, good on them.
What I love is yesterday there was an article saying that the Grambling State Athletic spokesperson said that there was no truth to the rumor, and I will not provide a statement regarding any false hires about Briles. And then today it was announced by a school spokesperson that he was hired.
Well, that's usually about the thing that the contract hasn't been signed. So you want that last thing, you want that ink to dry in the contract before you make an official statement, because otherwise, you can find out real quick that that deal you thought you had isn't there anymore, or that early announcement may have cost you $100,000 or $200,000 more because the coach comes back and says, "Well, I'll take it. I really want this, but if we could just push it to X, a little bit more money in there." So, yeah, it always pays to make that announcement when the contract is actually signed. So if I had to guess, I'd pretty much bet that.
A good night for Ryan last night. As he parlayed the Avalanche over Detroit Davidson in their rout of Duquesne and Houston with their win over Tulane on the road.
Hey, David.
Won over $1,000.
Ryan, well done, my friend. Ryan, well
done. That's paying for your trip to Vegas, right?
Yeah, how about that? Now, we're about to hit crawl, and this is James in the house? I can't see right now.
Hasn't seen him yet.
Okay, well, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell to get the latest sports betting news from our team at Winners and Winers. Okay, so that's what we want you to do. Take a look at that scroll in the bottom, because that's where we're going. So, all right, tonight we're going to the hardwood in the college first. Oops, my bad. Did I hit the?
Yeah, you might have.
I might have left you on the bad. We're going for me, not too far. We're going about an hour and a half up the 95, depending on the traffic. It's kind of a cool and open day here today. Delaware and Charleston are playing, and the Blue Hens, they've been playing some good basketball as of late, my friend.
Yep, they're 19-9 coming into this one. They're going to face a Charleston team that's up and down. We took Charleston over Northeastern the other night on the road, and that one panned out. I just don't see Charleston stringing together back-to-back road wins because, well, let's face it, they haven't done it all season. Oh, no, I'm sorry, they did once, but they beat William and Mary and Elon, and neither one of those teams anything to write home about when it comes to talking about playing in the CAA. William and Mary just 5-24 this season. Elon's 8-21, so congratulations, you beat the dregs of the conference. Meanwhile, you're facing a Delaware team that is anything but Charleston 6-6 on the road. Delaware's 9-3 at home. The Blue Hens 80th in scoring offense, 38th field goal percentage at 47.1. They are shoot well inside the arc at 54.7%. They knock down 8.1 threes a night. They shoot 35.9% rather, and they shoot free throws. God, how many times have we talked about that as being a critical thing, especially as we roll closer to conference tournaments, and then eventually March Madness, where one bad night at the line, you can be going home for the year.
For sure.
This one's going to be a track meet because Charleston is very good offensively. They're 42nd in scoring offense at 77.4 points a game. And you can tell that they like to run because they don't shoot the ball worth a damn. They're 259 in the field goal percentage at 42.7%. They're 240th inside the arc. They're 234th in three-point shooting. And if that wasn't bad enough, they don't play defense either. 322nd in scoring defense, 75.7 points a game. 279th in field goal percentage defense. 251st in two-point defense, 220th in three-point defense. Basically, if there's a metric that talks about bad defense, Charleston's on it. Pat Kelsey, that's been his trademark. He had a lot of success running and gunning at Winthrop in the Big South, but you're not in Rock Hill anymore, Pat Kelsey. Now you're up there or over there in Charleston, where things are a little bit different in the CAA. Charleston's second in the nation in adjusted tempo, which is why they managed to score so many points despite not being able to shoot. Charleston 1-8 against the spread in their last 9 after a straight-up win. They're 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 on Thursday. Delaware 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 after an ATS loss. The Blue Hens are the better option here. They beat Charleston on the road back in December 31st. And I look for them to prevail at home here and sweep the season series to improve to 10-3 in conference play. Or, I'm sorry, 11-5. 11-5.
11-5,
yeah. I'm looking at one of the lines up a couple spots.
Look, Delaware is playing good basketball, and that conference is a pretty good conference. And so I think, Delaware is not one of those teams that beats themselves, number one. And number two, this time of the year, if you're going to start getting hot, this would be the time to start getting hot. Because there's only, 3 weeks left in the season for them?
Let's see. No, regular season ends next week before a conference tournament. So a conference tournament will start after that.
Okay, so at this point in time, as I say, if you're going to get hot and put a streak together, this would be the time to do it. And Delaware's got they're a force to be reckoned with. I would think they're getting closer to getting into the tournament. I really do.
Yeah, they've won 3 straight 8 out of 10 coming into this one. And you look at the Colonial, and like you said, it's a good conference that nobody talks about. Towson's got 22 wins. Right. UNC, Wilmington, Hofstra, and Delaware all have 19, so they're all going to hit the 20-win mark. Right. Hofstra will probably get there tonight because they're playing Elon. Right. And Hofstra has been a team that's been on a roll, too.
Absolutely.
Under Speedy Claxton.
Yeah. Well, and the magic number, if you're a mid-major, is north of 21 in the win column. In the loss column, you cannot. No, I'm not going to say you cannot, but I'm going to say it's difficult if you're above 10 in the loss column. So you need to be that 11, win over loss area between like 21 and 10 or 22 and 10 and something like that. That'll get you there. And the other thing is quality of opponents that you play in, in non-conference. And Delaware's played, pretty decent non-conference schedule. So there's that. Speaking of teams that we have enjoyed talking about, we got the Cleveland State team coming up next.
Yeah, Cleveland State, they're going to take on Detroit Mercy. Cleveland State was fortunate to beat Detroit Mercy the first time. They won by 2 at home. Mm-hmm. But the Vikings, we've seen Cleveland State play some good basketball. They lead the Horizon League with a 15-4 mark in conference play, which is always a good thing for Dennis Gates' team. They come in with back-to-back wins as they beat Milwaukee and Green Bay on the road. The only thing that they have to do is make sure they're not looking ahead to facing Oakland on Saturday in the regular season finale. As it stands, Cleveland State, like I said, 15-4 on the horizon. Per IPFW, the Mastodons are 13-6, and in second place, Northern Kentucky 12-6. So those are two teams that you have to watch out for as well. I like the Vikings here. They can rack up some points. They're 51st in scoring offense, 76.7 points per game. They're 19th in field goal percentage. They're 30th inside the arc. They're slightly above average for three-point range, but they're terrible at the free throw line, which could keep Detroit Mercy around, which is why I'm glad the line is only 1.5. Detroit Mercy 210th in scoring offense, 231st in field goal percentage, 229th in two-point shooting. They live and die by the three. They're kind of like the Horizon's answer to Colgate, except Colgate actually wins games more consistently. They're ninth in the nation with 10.4 triples a night. They're 42nd in three-point percentage, and they knock down free throws, so they'll hang around if you let them. Cleveland State's going to have to shut down Antoine Davis. I believe he's second in the nation in scoring now, behind Peter Kiss from Bryant. But as Detroit Mercy goes, or as Davis goes, so does Detroit Mercy. If he struggles, the Titans are in trouble. As it stands, the Vikings 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 against teams with a losing record, 5-2 in their last 7 overall, 5-2 in their last 7 as a favorite. They've won 4 of the last 5 meetings between these teams. Detroit Mercy 2-5-2 against the spread in their last 9. Like I said, I have liked the way Detroit Mercy plays at times, but they're too inconsistent when it comes to relying on them on a regular basis. I mean, we took them over Robert Morris and stuff.
Right.
I'm just not going to back them here. I think with it being such a narrow line, I'll stick with the team that's atop the horizon over the one that's in the middle of the pack.
Well, there's another thing too, and this is something that Cleveland State knows, and everybody in that league knows. This is a one-bid league.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think there's going to be 2 bids there. So you cannot afford, if you're Cleveland State and you're playing a team like Detroit Mercy, you got to put the pedal down and just crush, because right here style points count and they matter. So if you can beat a team by 10, you beat them by 10. If you can beat them, obviously you won't by whatever you can win by, but 100%. This is a league that if somebody accidentally, other than Cleveland State wins the tournament and Cleveland State finishes in that, let's say they play the final and they get there, it could be a 2-bid league, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's highly unlikely. I think you see Cleveland State would get slotted somewhere with a higher seed, maybe in the NIT. But I don't see them squeezing another team in. Even because Cleveland State's only 19-7, so you say they win today, we'll say they beat Oakland, they get to 21. If they win a couple games in the tournament, they'd be like 23-8. But is the committee going to take a 23-8 Cleveland State team over, say, some middle of the road team in a power conference? Probably not.
No, well, that would be the thing, is that it's they would be check this. I could be wrong on that panel. If they lose a game again, they'll have 10 losses, I believe. Correct?
Well, Cleveland State has 7.
Oh, 7. Okay, sorry. All right, so they'd have 8 losses, and then there'd be a loss in the or potentially a loss in the tournament. So yeah, I mean, if somebody wins that division, wins that conference, whomever it may be, and Cleveland State's on the outside looking in, they're going to be on the outside looking in the tournament for sure. So there's that.
As for everybody's asking about why the line is so small and stuff, it's at Detroit Mercy. The Titans are 7-0 at home. There aren't any injuries to report other than Madut Akek from the Titans. Averages 13.5 points, 7.2 rebounds. He's questionable. He hasn't played in 2 weeks since that win over Robert Morris. So that's the only injury that's showing up on the injury reports anywhere. Cleveland State shows that they're healthy. I think they're just probably concerned about Cleveland State's road performance because they're only 5-4 as a road team. If you look at the teams that Cleveland State lost to on the road, and nobody's going to fault you for losing at BYU or Oklahoma State.
No.
And their other 2 losses were to Northern Kentucky, who was on a roll of late. They've won like 10 and 12.
Mm-hmm.
And probably the hottest team in the conference in IPFW, and they lost that game in triple overtime.
Right.
The Mastodons come in; they've won 7 in a row going into tonight when they face Oakland. So I mean, those are 4 road losses, sure, but they're 4 road losses. You know, 2 are well, BYU is not really a power 5 team, but they're close enough because the West Coast Conference is in. Oklahoma State, they're not a great power 5 team,
but they're a power 5 team.
And it's tough to win in Stillwater.
Right.
And, Northern Kentucky, IPFW, they were both close games. That's probably the biggest reason why the line is what it is.
Well, the other thing is, didn't you say that Oakland played them pretty tough the first time they played?
Well, Detroit Mercy did, yeah.
Yeah, Detroit Mercy, I'm sorry. No, Detroit
sorry, that's because I was talking about IPFW in Oakland. So.
Yeah,
it was a 2-point game.
Well, there's that. And that was in Cleveland at the Wolfstein Center.
Right.
So, look, as we said before, Cleveland State knows what they have to do. And that is, if they want to go to the tournament, they got to go in and they got to win that game. So, to
quote that famous song by Bachman Turner Overdrive, Cleveland State needs to be taking care of business.
Indeed, they should. They better. All right. Let's go to the ice. We got some fun stuff going on there. First thing up, you're going to take a chance in whacking my caps right off the get-go here.
Hey, South Florida won yesterday. I don't want to hear any more whining out of you. If you came on the air and said they were going to lose.
Oh, I almost guaranteed it. I actually thought...
Don't Willie Namath in reverse because you said they were going to lose and they won.
Yeah, if I did that, but I've also said they're going to lose before and they've lost. So there you go.
That's true.
The Rangers, who are playing well, are taking the Caps tonight.
Yeah, that one's at Madison Square Garden. One of the big things that I've noticed when it comes to talking about this game, Jim, is the Capitals haven't played in a week.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now, they scored 4 goals in their last 2 games before that break because they beat Nashville 4-1, they beat Philadelphia 5-3. Here's the bad thing. In the last 8 times when they've come off consecutive games when they scored at least 4 goals this year, Caps are 1-7.
Well, that's not good. That's USF bad.
Oh boy, there's another USF reference, folks.
Yeah, there you go.
Ilya Samsonov, 17-7-3 and 284 goals against a 906 save percentage, 3 shutouts in net for Washington. It's supposed to be Igor Shesterkin, who's probably in the mix for the Vezina Trophy right now. He's 24-5-3, 201 goals against a 939 save percentage and 3 shutouts. Caps 12th in goals per game, 3.25, 8th in goals against. Rangers 16th in goals per game, but they're 3rd in goals against, allowing 2.5 a night. From what I understand, Jim, TJ Oshie's going to make his return tonight for Washington.
Yeah, TJ Oshie is a key player in the Capitals' offense. He's somebody who gets underrated, I believe. I just think the way that since TJ Oshie came to the team, he has solidified the middle of that offense for the we know the number 1 line out there is good, but when Oshie comes in on either the 2 or the 3 line, whatever line Oshie's on, he makes it better. And he's a role player, and one of the great things in hockey that we all know about is that role players don't often get a lot of pub, and Oshie's one of those guys who falls into that category. But you need to have TJ Oshies on your team if you're going to win championships or if you're going to contend for titles.
Right, and that's that'll be a big boost for them down the stretch as we come up the trade deadline. Just about 3.5 weeks away?
Yeah, something like that.
Washington 2-6 in their last 8 when their opponent scores 2 or less. The Rangers coming off a 2-1 win over Ottawa on Sunday. Caps 3-9 in the last 12 after a win, so they're having a hard time
stringing them together.
As what Lou Brown would say from Major League, we won today. If we win tomorrow, that's 2 in a row. That's called a winning streak.
Right.
Washington hasn't done that much lately. The Rangers 5-1 in their last 6 on at least 3 days of rest. They're 4-1 in their last 5 overall. They're 20-6 in their last 26 in the Eastern Conference. Now, let me tell you guys, that Metropolitan Division is a cutthroat division by any stretch to the imagination when you look at it. You just look at the standings there, and it is crowded to say the least. Carolina leading with 74 points. Then you've got Pittsburgh's got 70. Washington has 69. New York has 69. Washington has 65. So, I mean, the Caps are in a solid position for a wild card spot, but, they'd probably rather avoid playing a division winner in the first round if they can help it and get in that 2-3 matchup, which would put them against one of their fellow division rivals, either Pittsburgh or the Rangers or Carolina, however that's going to shake out, because it's definitely a log jam.
Yeah, and they've got some games in hand, which might help them. But, that's a murderer's row division, and it's tough. I mean, it's tough to play. Washington and New York have played each other, a lot over the past few years. They know each other. You're not going to surprise each other in that game. Most of the time when Washington and the Rangers play, it's a pretty physical game.
Yeah.
And
everybody loves Tom Wilson.
Yeah. Yep. Tom Wilson in another life would have been Jack Tatum, but he's a strong safety who wants to play hockey.
Now let me ask you this, Jim: would Tom Wilson be anything of the kind of gritty enforcer that he was, or that he is now, had he played in the era when you would be dealing with guys like Bob Probert and Ty Domi and Tiger Williams?
I doubt it.
And guys like that.
No,
or would Tom Wilson be the guy sitting on the end of the bench hiding under a towel, hoping that he wasn't going to be the guy that ended up facing a guy like Probert, who was probably coked out of his mind half the time?
I think knowing Tom, his makeup as a person, he doesn't back down. So I'll give him that. But I mean, what we've seen in the NHL specifically, and like your opinion on this, but specifically since the NHL has gone to a more international game. In the old days, it was a Canada-U.S. game, okay? And so everybody fought. It was very physical, and it was a slow game, okay? The game, once the integration specifically of the Russians and of the Eastern Bloc teams, they weren't fighters. Those guys were speed guys. Those guys brought a wider scope of hockey. And since it almost works, and it's funny, it works the same when the NBA and the ABA merged, when the NFL and the AFL merged, when the WHA and the NHL got together. What we saw is a wide open brand of hockey that was played in the WHA, and now the fighting is less, the physicality, it's there, but it's still a game where speed matters. And I think that again, the change is when one league merges with another for whatever reason. Normally that conglomeration of the two leagues takes on the personality of the league that you just swallowed up, right? Look at what happened in the NFL, what happened, as we said before, in the NBA. They were all definitely affected by the merger. And I think the same thing happened with the WHA. So what we're seeing now is a less physical, but still physical type of game, but a much more fast or more strategic hockey, and frankly far more entertaining hockey than the old style. Just my
I like the
opinion.
old rock'em sock'em, beat the crap out of guys, playing in the Norris division when you had Chicago and St. Louis and Minnesota and Toronto and Detroit, because there was so much animosity, and you'd see the fights with Probert and Domi, and they'd go 2-3 times a night, and they would just go. Now they break up fights before they hardly even get started.
Well, the old joke used to be, I went to a fight in a hockey game, broke out.
Right.
It's funny, and we'll move on to the next game in just a second. But my niece is a big sports fan and wanted to, I said, look, you can't really appreciate hockey until you go to the game and watch it in person, so you can see all the moving parts. So we saw the hockey, and she came back and I just have one question. I said, how come they're allowed to fight in no other sport if you were to start this, guys would be thrown out, and I go, it was part of the sport, so I guess it's ingrained there. They let you get away with a little bit of it, but to be honest, I really didn't have a good answer for it, because it is the only sport where you're allowed to punch somebody and not get tossed or suspended.
I mean, a lot of these players now, I don't think would survive playing in that era, because it's become so much of there's so much less physicality compared to what we saw then. If somebody like Dale Hunter came up and crunched, let's say, Kirill Kaprizov from the Wild or something, like he did to Pierre Turgeon in the 93 playoffs,
right.
Kaprizov might be dead.
Hunter might be in jail.
Well, that's true, too.
I think one of the things we did learn when Dale came back to coach was that he didn't really understand the speed of the game. And it was part of a problem that that haunted him as a coach. He went back to coaching the juniors, where he's an outstanding teacher. There's no shade on Dale, but Dale's understanding of the new game versus what it was like when he was there became a problem for him. He just didn't quite grasp it, and that was again, no shade on him. He was a hell of player in the day, and not everybody can be a coach. So there you go. Who we got next, boss?
Well, Ryan's going to the game Saturday to see the Flyers and the Caps in Philadelphia. Do you advise to take the Caps? When you're playing the Flyers, I would take a head of lettuce.
Yeah, take the Caps. And by the way, don't wear a Caps jersey. Don't wear anybody's jersey in Philadelphia. Now, wait a minute. Let me back off of that. The way that they're playing these days, you probably could wear anything. I'm pretty sure that the folks are not as intent in Philly these days as they might have been if the Flyers are actually playing decent hockey.
True. And then we've got the Flames going on the road to take out our good buddy Bruce Boudreau and the Canucks.
This might be a good game to watch.
Yeah, Calgary 30-13-6. They're 16-9-2 on the road. Vancouver 24-22-6. 11-10-3 at home. But let's not forget that since Bruce Boudreau has taken over the Canucks, Vancouver has played a whole lot better. They are now have posted let me check his record. They are 16-7-4.
Well, they're much more. They're a better offensive team as well.
That's true. But 16-7-4, that is a points percentage of, let's see.
A winning percentage?
Well, I just base it on points because you're going to get the points for home losses and everything.
Yeah.
36 points in 27 games. Can't complain about that, considering what they did under Travis Green. It's a 667 points percentage, so you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
We're trying to catch up. Markstrom he's been great. I'm surprised considering how inconsistent he's been the rest of his career. But 8 shutouts leads the league in that category, 928 save percent. Patrick Demko's played well too. With Yaroslav Halak a fixture on the bench.
Right.
Still surprised he hasn't been traded, but apparently, from what I've read, Halak has a no trade clause.
No trade clauses can always be broken toward the trade deadline.
But only if he waives it.
Right, but I'm wondering.
He seems content to sit on the bench and get a check.
Well, who wouldn't be, right? So the Flames are 8th in goals per game. Huh?
Yep, and they lead the league in goals against, which is no surprise. Like we said, Markstrom has 8 shutouts. Dan Vladar's been good as backup. Vancouver struggles lighting the lamp, but they've improved defensively, which is a plus. The big problem for Vancouver is they're terrible on the penalty kill. They're last in the league.
Right.
I don't know if they're ever going to fix that problem. I mean, they haven't yet. We've played, 15-some games?
Yeah.
Vancouver comes in there 5 points behind Edmonton for the second wild card spot in the Western Conference. Just for that horrible number on penalty killing, 69.9%. So they're giving up power play goals on 3 out of every 10 opportunities with the man advantage. That's not going to get it done.
No.
You're facing the Calgary team that's won 10 straight. In 9 of those games, they've given up 2 goals or less. The Flames 8-0 in their last 8 after giving up 2 or less. They're 8-0 when their opponent gives up 2 or less in their last game. Vancouver 1-5 in their last 6 after a win, and 0-4 in their last 4 after scoring 5 or more. So apparently, when they score 5, then they turn around and put up a dud. And playing the Flames, you're probably going to put up a dud anyway because Markstrom has been very good.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, the Flames are as good a hockey team as there is out there. They're playing solid hockey on all fronts. I mean, as you just said. I mean, Markstrom has a legit shot at a Vezina. He's got to be considered as part of that conversation. Their backline has been good. They've been scoring points. In the proverbial "what's not to like" category, what's not to like?
Yeah, they're tied for third in goal differential at plus 55. The only teams ahead of them, of course, the Avalanche, because they score 600 goals a game, and of course the Panthers, who score 603 goals a game.
Right. Well, there's that, but and they got cool jerseys. What's not to like? So,
sure, why not?
Well, okay.
I miss the old Vancouver with the brown. Looks like somebody took a dump jerseys from the 80s.
It's like they're like the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, like those the earth tone colors.
The brown gold. Yeah, that whole thing. Yeah, that's the Padres are back. Speaking of being back, you probably said to yourself, didn't the NBA play basketball during this time of the year? Well, yes, they do. And after having what can only be described as the boringest Saturday night of skills and slam dunk and all the other types of 3-point plays and all that, and an interesting All-Star game that was won by a LeBron James shot, they're back and ready for running it down because it's only a couple, there's a month or so and this season will be over. And somebody will have to win. Now, you and I talked yesterday. I think it was yesterday. We both think Milwaukee's going to be the team to beat in the East, and we think that there's some surprises coming up. So let's go to the hardwood and to the association and see what's going on tonight as everybody gets back to play over the next couple days.
Right. And we're starting the Windy City with the Chicago Bulls over the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta 28-30 on the year. They're 11-17 on the road. The Bulls 38-21. Their home record is obscured
by BetMGM. Yeah.
By BetMGM. They're actually 23-8 at home. The Bulls 7th in scoring offense at 112.6 points a game. They're first in field goal percentage at 48.3. They're second in 3-point shooting. The Hawks actually lead the league in 3-point shooting at 37.7%. They're 8th in scoring offense, but the big thing here is the Hawks don't play defense. They're 22nd in scoring defense at 111.8 points per game. They're 24th in field goal percentage defense. They're 24th in 3-point defense. The Hawks are consistently inconsistent. Let's put it that way. While they have 2 7-game win streaks this season, they've also had a streak where they lost 6 in a row, and another streak where they lost 5 in a row. They just can't put together any kind of consistency when it comes to putting games in the win column. On the injury report for the Hawks, John Collins is doubtful with a strained right foot. For the Bulls, of course, you won't see Lonzo Ball. He's still out after knee surgery. Alex Caruso is still out with that fractured wrist. And Patrick Williams out with that ligament tear in his wrist. He's been out since October, so nobody remembers him. The Hawks 3-13 against the spread in their last 16 with a team against a winning percentage above 600. They're 1-6 in their last 7 on the road against teams with a winning home record. They're 1-10 against the spread in their last 11 on the road against teams with a home winning percentage greater than 600. The Bulls 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 overall. 5-1 in their last 6 at home against teams with a road winning percentage below 400. These teams met in a home-and-home series in late December. The Bulls winning the first meeting 131-117, won the second one at home 130-118. I look for Chicago, especially with DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and Nikola Vucevic in the mix to get the win over Atlanta, especially with Collins missing. It takes a big piece out of the interior defense for Atlanta out of the mix.
Well, Chicago's, we've said earlier that Chicago is a team that, is definitely going to be there come playoff time. And they're a tough team to play at home. They've always been a tough team to play at home, even when they haven't been that good. So when they're good and playing at home, that makes it even worse for the visitors. And the Hawks, as you say, when you're woefully inconsistent, that's not a good combination to have. So from the Bulls and the Hawks, where are we going there, boss?
We're going to go to the Motor City for a Central Division tilt between the Cavs and the Pistons.
Sorry, Lenny. Yeah.
The Cavs 35-23. They're 17-14 on the road. The Pistons are 13-45. They're 8-20 at home. Sure, I know Detroit beat Boston in the last game before the All-Star break, winning 112-111 on the road. But that was a Boston team that was coming off a 45-point shellacking in Philadelphia the night before, and they were probably hungover from that one. You're dealing with a Detroit team that still can't score. They're 29th in scoring offense at 102.6. They're 29th in field goal percentage at 42.1. They're 29th in three-point shooting. Thank God for Oklahoma City, or Detroit would be in the cellar.
But the next line is the line that's the money line.
Right.
All the stuff you just said, and then you lead into that. The Cavaliers are number one in the scoring defense. Hello.
Yeah, the Cavs lead the league in scoring defense. They're fourth in field goal percentage defense. They're ninth in three-point defense. Injury report doesn't look bad for Detroit. They got a bunch of guys down in the G League, but those guys aren't really factors. Frank Jackson is supposed to play with back spasms. Cleveland, they won't have Darius Garland. He's out with a sore back. Karis LeVert's out with a foot sprain. Everybody knows Colin Sexton's out because he's been out for an eternity. Lauri Markkanen, though, is expected to return from his sprained ankle tonight. With him and Kevin Love and Jared Allen, you've got a massive size edge in the low block to deal with. And Detroit, I'm not sold Marvin Bagley is going to help the Pistons any. Cleveland 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 when their opponent gives up at least 100. They're 28-10-2 in their last 40 after putting up 100 themselves. That third line there from the bottom tells you that Detroit does not know how to do much after they win a basketball game. They're 14-37-2 in their last 53 against the spread following a straight-up win. They're 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 overall. That was the win over Boston. And they're 1-5 in their last 6 as an underdog. That also was over Boston. Cleveland has enough weapons, even minus Garland and LeVert, to take care of let's face it, a bad Detroit team.
Let me ask you a fun, quick question. How many people at the beginning of the season would bet that the Cleveland Cavaliers would go further in the NBA playoffs than LeBron James would with the Lakers?
Probably not very many. But then again, now it sounds like LeBron is mad at Rob Pelinka because he didn't pull the trigger on sending Westbrook back to Houston for John Wall.
Yeah, so that John could go and sit on the bench in Los Angeles.
Right, because so you would trade an overpaid guy that can't shoot for an overpaid guy that has barely played in the last 3 seasons and hasn't played at all this year. If you're going to do that, why didn't you just go get Ben Simmons?
There you go. The other thing that you're talking about with the LeBron with the Lakers situation, and then in the West, it looks like Chris Paul's not going to be playing in Phoenix for a while, at least to the playoffs. Now they got a 6-game cushion, right? I don't think the Warriors catch him, but I think we need to keep watch over that Phoenix team and how they handle not having Chris Paul, at least for probably the remainder of the regular season, and likely, hopefully for him, that he gets back for the playoffs in time.
Yeah, I imagine he'll get back for the postseason. I'm just looking to see if how many times Phoenix and Golden State meet, if they meet again this season.
It's not many.
Yeah, they meet in March 30th. That's the only meeting they have
That's
left.
about the last game of the season.
They've got 6 after that.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, there's not a ton of opportunities for Golden State to gain ground at head-to-head. You also have to factor in that down the stretch, while you do see Utah and you see Milwaukee on the docket, and the Bulls are on there, and they play them once, and Memphis is on there once. They've also got games like they closed with Sacramento. They've got Okay, they've got Sacramento twice. They've got New Orleans on there a couple times. They've got the Lakers on there a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Houston on there. You've got Orlando. So, I mean, there's probably enough easy games where they can just beat up on bad teams. Like
well, and I don't want to make it sound like I don't want to make it sound like Chris Paul is the only player on the Phoenix team that can play.
Oh, right, yeah.
So there's that too. I mean, Phoenix has got a quality team, and they're just better with Chris Paul. Like any team would be better with Chris Paul. But they've got 3 or 4 guys that slide over and play that position if need be. And
Cameron Payne, if he's healthy, you got Aaron Holiday, who they got at the trade deadline.
They got guys on the bench they can rotate in and out. So there's that. Let me get to one more quick BetMGM promotion, guys. As we said, as you've seen rolling past on the screen about the NBA play, there's more. And here's what we got. BetMGM will give new customers a risk-free bet on your first sports wager up to $1,000. Only new players are eligible. You need to use your BetMGM app. You get that bonus after you sign up, and once you create an account and you deposit your first $10 or more, then from that point forward, they will match it up to $1,000. So there you go. It's a wonderful opportunity, and all of the information on BetMGM, both the NBA promotion as well as the promotion we just talked about, is in our show box below. Remember, you must be 21 years of age to play, and always bet responsibly. Okay? All right. So that's from our friends at MGM, and plenty of stuff to be looking forward to. As I said before, it's all in the show box below with the links and all that information. So BetMGM, and as we said, you have to be 21 years of age to play, and bet responsibly. Okay, so let's go 2 for the money. Speaking of making money, here we go.
Real quick, Ryan says he's so ready for LaFraud to retire and go away.
LaFraud.
The bad news is he says his last year is going to be when he plays with his son, which means you're probably going to be stuck with him for at least another, 2 or 3 years? I don't remember when his son's eligible to join the NBA.
Well, that's assuming his son is good enough to play in the NBA.
Right. I think he's been currently projected as a second-round pick, which, those don't really pan out half the time.
Where's he at? And where's he playing basketball?
He's playing high school for somebody.
He's got to be in Los Angeles.
Yeah, Sierra Canyon.
Okay. Actually, Sierra Canyon has been a feeder school back in the day to USC.
Has it?
Yeah. There's been.
Yeah, he's currently the number 34 prospect in the 2023 recruiting class. So he won't be eligible for the draft until 2024, which means that you're stuck with LeBron for at least 3 more years.
Well, yeah, that again also is assuming that he pans out when he gets into college, wherever he might go to college.
Right. So there's that too,
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Anyway, Bulls and Hawks, talked about them.
John says IUPUI is the destination for Bronny James.
John, you know what? He could do worse.
Hey, he'd get to play 40 minutes a night.
That's right.
Supposed to go somewhere else where, he might come off the bench and play like 6.
Like USC or UCLA. So, all right, cool. We got...
that shouldn't even say Colgate. It didn't copy over from my page. That was my fault. It's supposed to be the Bulls, minus 3.5 over the Hawks. The college game I had plugged in there. Let's see because I've got it on my screen. I put Delaware in there.
Yeah. Okay. All right, then you got the Flames.
It just didn't copy over from my screen. I must have saved it afterwards and it didn't punch up.
Yeah, we talked about the Flames and the Canucks. We didn't talk about the Panthers and the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, and you talk about what's going to be a game, a goal fest. Currently, the money line on that game has gotten ridiculous. It is Florida going at minus 470, Columbus going at plus 350. Here's the funny thing. Columbus thought that they were going to have Eunice Korpisalo and Daniel Tarasov and Elvis Merzlikins as their goaltenders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Didn't work.
Tarasov is out for the year after he had hip surgery. Korpisalo was placed on injured reserve yesterday. Merzlikins is now out indefinitely with a lower body injury. If that wasn't bad enough, Zach Werenski, probably their top defenseman, is out today too. So you're down to Jean-Francois Berube. He beat Toronto the other night. He beat Buffalo on Sunday. Berube now has 2 wins. In case you're scoring at home in the NHL, that gives him a grand total of 2 wins. He played for the Islanders in 2015, 2016, and 2016, 2017. Oh, I'm sorry. He actually did win games there. He now has 11 wins. I was looking at the wrong spot.
There you go.
But he's 11, 10, and 4. But the bad news for Florida, or for Columbus in this one, Jim, they've lost 8 straight to the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, they're consistent.
The last 6 have come by multiple goals.
Wonder what the over-under is for Brad Larson staying as coach at Columbus.
In the 2 meetings this season,
right,
which came in January, Columbus lost 9-2 at Florida. 2 weeks later, they lost at home 8-4. They've been outscored 17-6 in 2 games.
It sounds like a Miami Marlins score. So, there you go. If you're scoring at home, that's a lot of goals. All right, so let's go for 4 for the show.
All right. We've got the Cavaliers over the Pistons. We talked about that one. Wagner. Everybody, one of those great teams that nobody seems to ever talk about because they play in a conference that nobody seems to know, which is understandable because it's the Northeast Conference. Jim, do you know where Wagner is?
In Pennsylvania.
No, sorry.
Okay. All right. No.
We were looking for what is Staten Island.
What is Staten Island? Okay. We could have been here all afternoon. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah,
we could have been there till tomorrow, and I wouldn't have guessed that.
I wonder if Pete knows where Wagner is.
Well, he'll find out. We'll find out when we talk to him tomorrow.
Wagner 19-3 on the year.
We take the ferry out to watch him. That'd be fun.
They're 13-1 in the Northeast Conference. Their one loss, and this is an interesting one. They lost in overtime to Merrimack. The final score was 80-65.
Oh, did they forget to come out for the overtime, or how did that work?
They were outscored 22-7 in overtime.
That's what I'm saying. That's 5. It's 5 minutes. How do you get? Good Lord.
I don't know, considering it was 58-58 at the end of regulation.
Oh man, that's wild. All right.
So,
there's that.
But yeah, Fairleigh Dickinson has been awful. I feel bad for Greg Correnda. Everybody talked about how great they were when they made it to March Madness a couple of years in a row. Now they're 3-20.
Meanwhile, back with the Penguins and the Devils.
Yeah, let's face it, the Devils aren't that good. Pittsburgh is much better.
Yeah.
The money line is prohibitive. That's why I put the puck line up there. You're probably get a better value out of that. And they're playing in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh plays well at the Glass House. Meanwhile, New Jersey is 7-15-2 on the road this year. Mackenzie Blackwood is expected to get back in net for New Jersey. He hasn't played since, what's it been, about a month?
It's been a while.
January 19th, and that was his. Before that, he had to go back another 11 days before he started, so he's played once in the last 6 weeks. He's going to be a bit rusty, I think.
Yeah, the Tin
Man. And finally, the Nuggets over the Kings. I know Sacramento retooled their roster with getting Sabonis and everything else, but I don't understand why they traded Tyrese Halliburton. That was a majorly strange move to me. I wouldn't have given up Halliburton in that deal. He's an up-and-coming point guard. I know you have De'Aaron Fox, but how long are you going to keep him for with the amount of money that he makes? I'm going to take the Nuggets with Nikola Jokic. They're just more consistent. And I don't even like the Nuggets.
Well, and the Penguins are, the Penguins are in the hunt for the division too. So we talked about that.
Right. Yeah, they're right behind Carolina.
Right.
They played Monday, and Carolina won that game to take over sole possession of first place.
Right. So we talked about the importance of these types of games at this point in the season. So there you go. All right, Tom.
Ryan, I see you asking about the Sharks. Well, you got you covered. Don't worry.
Coming up in the
right after this break, and a word from your local station.
Right. Tell you what.
Here, we now take you back to your regular scheduled program, already in progress.
Which, of course, is the menu. And on the menu, I'm going to guess is sharp.
Yep.
Not at the top, but there, close.
Well, I'm doing hockey at the bottom, so that's this way.
That's the way. It's the way we roll, Ryan. Just hang in there, buddy. We'll get to you.
Yeah, see, my spacing didn't space out right, but that's all right.
The Gauchos and the Aggies.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. You see Santa Barbara's won 4 out of 5. The Aggies have won 3 in a row. Who would have thought Jim Les would have a winning record? Or coaching at UC Davis. The Aggies, they beat Cal State Bakersfield the other day by 2. That was their first game in 2 weeks. I like UC Santa Barbara. Joe Pasternak, fastest coach in UC Santa Barbara history to get to 100 wins. They're coming off a win over Long Beach State. I like them to go on the road and get a win here. It's been a down year for the Gauchos. They're only 12 and 10, which is strange because, like I said, Pasternak's had some good success there. I look for them to get back and maintain that momentum by getting a win in this one. Then we'll move on. Weber State over Portland State. Weber State, another one of those teams that nobody talks about because they play in the Big Sky, and everybody thinks of Montana and Montana State, and that's about it. I know Weber State, they've dropped 4 out of 5. They lost to Northern Colorado in overtime, but they're going to face a Portland State team that's 9 and 15. And 2 of those wins came over Northern Arizona. 1 came over Sacramento State. They also beat Idaho State. They beat Sacramento State twice. So 4 of their wins are over doormats. Then you throw in Idaho State. Then you throw in 2 wins over non-Division 1 teams. The only team that beat them was worth a damn was Northern Colorado, who we talked about last week, and who probably burned us by losing to Idaho State. Santa Clara, Herb Sendek. Jim, you know him.
Yep.
You love him.
Who doesn't?
They're facing Pepperdine.
And that's all you need to know.
That's all we need to talk about as far as that goes. Pepperdine sucks.
There you go.
USC.
Beautiful campus, not a good team.
Yeah. Not this year.
Yeah. USC is playing for seeding.
Right.
In the tournament. So that's what you need to know
about
that.
And the Pac-12 tournament, too.
That's true.
They come in with 4 straight wins, after they had that loss to Arizona back in early February. Meanwhile, Wayne Tinkle's team...
they're not Oregon.
Well, they're not even the team that went to the Elite Eight last season.
Right, yeah.
Oregon State, 3 and 22. They're 1 and 14 in the Pac-12. They've lost 12 straight. Their last win, December 30th. They beat Utah that day. I remember.
So they haven't won this year.
I picked Utah to beat them that day on this show. And, of course, Oregon State won by 12. Ruined my entire day.
No, it's okay.
Since then, they haven't won jack.
No. There you go, Jack.
That's what you get for screwing at the end of the year, Oregon State. Yeah. It's called karma. Look it up.
Right. Golden State, they're back.
Yep. I think they're going to end up going over 223 with Portland. Portland has put up some decent offensive numbers despite having no players that anybody recognizes right now. Golden State has found some offense again. They're actually playing well on that end of the floor. Klay Thompson back and everything. That'll go over the number.
We talked about Phoenix and not having Chris Paul, but we also said that they're a good basketball team even without Chris Paul.
And we've talked about Oklahoma City. We talked about it when we said Detroit is 29th in all those offensive categories. Well, Oklahoma City is last in all of them. There's got to
be a team last in these things. Hey,
Lou Dort will not play for the Thunder tonight. He's out with a shoulder strain. Mike Muscala also out. At least I'll get Gilgeous Alexander back. That's not going to make a whole damn lot of difference.
Our Beale Street Bullies are playing tonight.
Yeah, and I went with I like Memphis to win, but I also like the under because I ran across an interesting stat when I was looking at this stuff the other day, and that was this. In the last, let me find it here because I have it written down. In the last, where is it? Where's the page? Here we go. Yeah, but there we go. In the last 13 games on the road, Minnesota's average total has been 244.7 points a game. In their last 12 at home, the teams have averaged a combined 218.3. So you're talking about a road home split of more than 26 points a game. Now, if you're only averaging a total of 218.3 at home, I sure as hell ain't thinking you're going to hit 239.5.
I don't know.
I don't care if you're playing Memphis or not.
No.
So I'm looking for that to go under that number. I get it. Both those teams have good offenses.
Yeah, they do.
But it's like they must put a force field over the basket in the target center to have the numbers be that much of a differential.
Right.
Columbus in Florida over 7.
We already talked about Columbus playing 6-on-5. They don't use goalkeepers in their games when they play the Panthers. They just go on a 6-on-5 power play.
Yeah, and just to give you an idea of the way things have gone in that series, they've gone over in 7 of the last 8 meetings. The goal totals in that stretch, 6, 9, 7, 3. That was the one under. 6, 6, 11, 12.
My goodness.
So yeah. I'm looking for that to go over. Now, Matthew, we were talking about this yesterday or the other day. Nashville is going to retire Pekka Rinne's jersey tonight at Bridgestone Arena. I like the Predators over the Stars. The Stars played the second game of a back-to-back. They beat Winnipeg last night in overtime, which still made us a winner because we said you could take the Jets with the puck line, which panned out because, hey, they lost in overtime, and I said it would probably be 3-2, something like that. And finally, just for Ryan, the San Jose Sharks at home at the SAP Center over the New York Islanders. I think Barry Trotz's team, they got all excited when they beat the Kraken 5-2 the other night at home or on the road. They probably won't score 5 tonight. I like San Jose. The puck, there's not a ton of juice on the money line or on the puck line because of the fact that nobody has faith in the Islanders beating people by multiple goals. But if you want to go that route, just to give yourself a little bit of an extra cushion, you can do that too.
Yeah. So there you go, boys and girls. All right. Any lingering questions for the evening, Chris?
Well, if you're looking for good basketball tonight, I would be finding out what channel the game with the number 1 team in the country. That's right, the Gonzaga Bulldogs. They're going to go on the road to the Sobrato Center and War Memorial at the Sobrato Center in San Francisco and take on the Dons. That'll be on ESPN2 at 9 o'clock. I'd be tuning into that one.
That's an early tip time for a game, so it's 6 o'clock in San Francisco.
Right.
So there you go.
Other games coming out in that same time slot. FS1, you've got Ohio State, number 22 in the country, taking on our buddy Kofi Cockburn and number 15 Illinois at the State Farm Center in Champaign. And in the marquee, if you don't consider Gonzaga, San Francisco, the heavyweight main event of mid-majors, you got the big game in the Ohio Valley tonight. Belmont, winners of 10 straight, going on the road, face number 19, Murray State.
So there's a little bit of everything for people. The association is back, so that means Thursday night basketball. And we got some good hockey that we talked about. So a little bit of something for everybody there. But college, NHL, little NBA. So there you go.
There's probably cornhole on somewhere.
Yeah, it's ESPN 7.
Because they got dodgeball on ESPN 8.
There's that, the International Dodgeball Association. This, by the way, just kind of one other quick sports note, and that is the UEFA Championship, which many people enjoy tuning into. We're supposed to be played in St. Petersburg Russia. It will not be played in St. Petersburg, Russia. It will be determined. Tomorrow will tell you where it's going to be played. My guess, if it, the likely spot will be somewhere in England. A very good chance it would be in London, either at Wembley or over at Tottenham Stadium.
Yeah, I was going to say Tottenham Hotspur there.
Yeah, there's an outside chance they could play Chelsea, but I would think those are Wembley or Tottenham would probably be your best bets. So we'll see how that plays out. So we'll let you know tomorrow.
Oh,
what's Ryan doing?
I was going to say, he asked about Murray State, since we said Belmont, Murray State. Murray State's at home. They're 16-0 in the conference. Strangely, it's only a 3-point line. I would take Murray State. They beat Belmont soundly on the road last month. That was that 82-60 drubbing of Belmont. Mm-hmm. And let's face it, Belmont hasn't been all that sharp yet. I know they've won 10 in a row, but you look at some of these margins. They beat Austin Peay by 8. They beat Tennessee Tech by 8 in overtime in a game where they looked absolutely terrible for most of it. They beat Morehead State 48-47. That was a good day for me because I took Morehead State 10 points.
There you go.
They beat SIU Edwardsville by 11. After you lose by 22 on your home floor, now you've got to go to Murray State. And Murray State doesn't lose at home very often. This year they haven't. They're 14-0. I would give the 3 and take the Racers.
There you go. You heard it from him. And tomorrow we're going to have Pete Medhurst, but Pete, of course, the man of many voices. He's got his own radio show between 3 and 6 on the Team 980 in Washington, D.C. He also is the voice of Navy, because that's what he's going to come to talk to us about, Navy and Colgate.
Again, the Major League in general with that tournament coming up.
Exactly. And also we can talk a little baseball with him because he is the pregame and postgame host for the Washington Nationals, and also does some play-by-play as a fill-in play-by-play guy, and he's the voice of Rosecroft Raceway. So, when he's not sleeping, he'll drop by and visit us. So, we'll check Pete out tomorrow as our special Friday guest. So, Pete Medhurst tomorrow to talk about Navy, the Patriot League, and a little bit of everything. Pete can always.
And just to give you guys a little bit of heads up, we'll also have Allie Burns back next Monday.
That's right.
To talk more college basketball.
That's right. So you asked for her, you got her. Allie's coming back. So, all right, gang. Get your questions ready for tomorrow. Have a great evening tonight. We've already given you some good opportunities to have some fun. All the information on BetMGM and the promotions they have is in the show box below. So after we are off, you can certainly look at that and check it out. Check out all of our social media, which also is down below. And we look forward to seeing you. And
yes, Ryan Morehead State over Eastern Illinois. Eastern Illinois is terrible.
There you go. Ryan's simple. Exactly. Have a good one, Ryan. All right. Everybody have a lovely evening. Be safe, be careful, and be wise out there, okay? Play it cool. Have a great evening. We will see you tomorrow right here on this Winners and Wires Sports Betting Network. Just Parlays with Chris King. Okay, everybody? Take care. See ya tomorrow. Ta-da! It hit. All right. Let me